Aloha, beautiful souls. Welcome to our end of days, and that's DAZE. I'll do this really quick. As usual, right? Footage is raw, unedited, uh, so just like life, right? So we're just gonna kind of go with it. Like I like to say, one continuous stream. Uh, in my next video, I kind of want to make this diagram, and so I'm kind of planning on how to be able to draw it, do it out. I don't have any software, I don't really have a recording studio, obviously. As I say in all of my other videos, I'm homeless. Uh, just basically got a smartphone, using the utilities that are available for me at the moment, and other stuff with that. That's for another video. Um, one of the primary, if not only, things that I can talk about on this particular for period, right, is God and what God means. Now, there's this. I see it as this universal understanding of what God is that we all seem to possess, and then there's also this potential misunderstanding, which is there as well, and both can exist. And it seems kind of like a paradox at first. And so this is why I use story in order to explain things, I would say, to our human minds, to make better sense of it so that we can continue to move forward in a fashion which is like doable, if you ask me, which is livable. And so the biggest thing is that the story that we tell ourselves ends up being the perspective that we see the world through God, through ourselves, through each other, through everything. And so claiming responsibility for the inner narration of our life is so important. And that a lot of the misunderstanding of God comes from what I've called on this channel, generational curses. And so to put this into context, let's say my great great grandfather, had something happen to him. All right, he was farming his plot of land, and the whole crop died for one particular season. And but there were neighbors, a community that he had, and they came forward and they helped him get through that year. And then rather than be grateful for that coming together, he felt shame. And from that shame, he told himself a story. And he said, this is God cursing me, because I'm unworthy. And so if there was a huge emotional charge behind that narration, behind that perception of that thing, even when the community was feeding him, rather than feeling that gratitude for being sustained, being able to continue to go on, what he felt was shame. And then that shame doesn't disappear. And this is more than just on a soul level. You might think just like, okay, well, so my great 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 grandfather, felt shame, did that, and then it's gone. That's not how it works. And that's not how I see that it works. All right. And like I like to say on this channel quite often, this is just my perception that I'm sharing with you. This is just my own experiences and reflections. And so if it doesn't jive with you, great. You don't want to watch my channel then, essentially. This is more, me and my sharings are more for people who resonate with what I'm sharing. And it's more to be like confirmation and reminders, because the way that I've experienced it and the way that when I interact with other individuals who are on the same path, who are more consciously at least, there's something that we seem to have in common. It's more just like when I hear something from someone else, it's not that they're telling me something that I don't know. It's like reminding me, or it's confirming me. It's like validating my own experiences that I've already been having. Because oftentimes the existing structures that are currently here on the world are, I would say, anti-God, and in a way that is very subtle too, because some of these anti-God systems, which I've spoken a little bit on the channel before, which is idols, right? Idol worship, something which isn't really real, but we make into something which is real. Um, and there's nuances behind that too. I know I'm jumping around here, but to get back on subject with my great grandfather, just to kind of get this out of the way. This is the story that I have told myself, and I feel like it has empowered me to keep moving forward. And it's also drawn from the Bible, from the Christian Bible. All right. I don't remember exactly what book or verse or whatever it particularly is. A lot of the times, the wisdom of the Bible really stands out to me. I don't remember where it comes from. All right, what chapter or verse? To me, that's unimportant compared to the wisdom drawn from that. All right, like that is really what's supposed to stand out for these religious books. All right, is the is the inherent wisdom that's there to help guide our lives closer to God, to live in alignment with God. Because it makes us happier, better, more energetic, more in alignment with God, and it's an example for other people to do the same too. And when we have hardships or other stuff happen to us, we're more resilient in the face of those hardships. So it's just like it's a good deal all the way around. Um, and so yeah, like so to continue with this, because I was just going to say, yes, I'm putting this together, and yes, this is my own interpretation of things, but also I am drawing from other people's interpretations too that resonate with me, that felt like validation for me as well. And that when I heard those, I was just like, that's what it means. That's exactly it. Because I felt it like, in the back of my mind, in the crevice of my heart. But when they were able to put it into words and in a way where I could hear it, it was just like, that's what that means. Now I understand. Um, and I know that and I'll kind of I'll do I want to say that for later or another video. All right. Uh, but getting back on subject with my great grandfather's example. All right. Maybe minus a great there. I don't know. It's just you know what I mean. All right. It's just someone from my past, one of my ancestors. Okay. When the Bible says, and I'm paraphrasing here, the sins of the father will be passed on 7 generations, and there's a particular number, and the way that it was explained to me from someone else who studied the Bible, they interpreted this as a special number, meaning that the sins of the father will be passed on indefinitely until it's dealt with, until it's forgiven, and that this is what 7 was. 7 was like a number of completion of getting through it. All right, and so to me this resonates, like this completely resonates, and it seems to be closer to the truth that I've experienced personally and what has been my focus on too. Like a lot of my life I could probably be judged as being irresponsible and doing things that are irresponsible to an outside perspective. It's in some ways it's insane because I feel like the world is somewhat upside down, if you ask me. um, because in over basically in not doing the work, in not fully committing ourselves to tackle what we have inherited, like these sins of the father, for example, we end up passing it on to our generation. And so, best case scenario, we do a little bit of work, we help, the next generation a little bit, and that's better than nothing. All right, that's much better than doing nothing, because from what I've seen, there is no such really thing as doing nothing. What ends up happening that I've seen also is when no work is done, it ends up getting worse. And things end up intensifying and degrading even more. So, like the sins of the father we aren't releasing them. We're not getting them out. We're actually going deeper into that same hole, um, which is then condemning us more. All right, it's condemning our offspring more. It's condemning our souls more. And there's many different ways to phrase it. And I think that they're all, interconnected. Right, confirmation brief. um, and so I do. And like totally side note here. It's just like when I have conversations in person with people, I need to break eye contact sometimes, and it's just how I am able to process information because there's a lot going on. I can just stare at the camera, beady eyed, and never break eye contact like that. But it doesn't seem natural to me, and I'm willing to particularly, maybe change it. Like I say, I try to do my best here. All right, I'm aiming to do my best here to make these as authentic as possible, while also, being open to feedback and improving. Either my videos, myself, stuff in general. Um, this is why it's so important to do the work, though. Going back to the subject that I was talking about, like, and also why it's very important to have a personal relationship with God. And this is my interpretation of things, because what I have seen are communities and an overarching structure impose its will upon individuals in a shaming, controlling type of energy, a type of way. Uh, and ironically enough, that benefits only particular individuals. It keeps individuals in line. And this isn't necessarily like I was listening to somebody on YouTube earlier, and I'll mention them again in a second, um, who posed things in a very interesting way. And I liked how he phrased it too, where God has given us this playground, this structure in order to exist in. And it can be like a golden garden, you guys. It can be this beautiful, resilient, adventurous, abundant garden for all of us. And it can also be the equivalent of hell. All right, it can absolutely be the equivalent of hell. Uh, and it is here kind of as a learning format. There might be certain schools of thought that say, life is a school, the school of life. You're here to learn. And I found favor with this, and I like it, and I also don't like it. And I'll get maybe my own personal opinions on that in another video. But to keep this back on subject, at least, there's a degree of truth in it that I have seen, and what we are learning is how to have our personal relationship with God, and that this exists independently, or it has the capacity to exist independently of the group, of the collective. All right. Now, this doesn't mean we're supposed to be isolated individuals all the time. Hermiting, as I've done a lot of my life, all right, is sometimes, maybe completely, a necessary phase. We need to be able to take a step away from the community in order to see that we are not the community, that we are not the community's thoughts, projections, and actions, all right, or behaviors, energy, essentially. And this allows us to claim responsibility for what we're giving to the community as well, because that's an important part of everything as well. All right, because the community, the collective, and the individual are two sides of the same coin. All right. And so when I talk so much about independence from the community, it is for the benefit of the community, because if the community cannot hold itself individually responsible, the collective itself cannot be held responsible. All right, like it's this layered kind of a thing. And and from my perspective, at least from my experiences, as one develops a personal relationship with God, these things become more apparent. All right, we are revealed information that we need to know. All right, that helps us understand and have a greater peace with God for those who it's necessary for. Now, I believe it's personally feasible for someone to be in a place of, I guess, just constant nowness, and to have no intellectual capacity of God, but still be really connected with God. Some people might say that, like a simple kind of an individual. Ironically, despite what I sound like, despite my language, despite everything and my intellectual endeavors, I really feel like deep down I'm a very simple individual. I'm very simple. And I think this is the paradox of kind of who I am, or the apparent paradox, right? And the charm too. And the way I see it is that if it's alluring too, it's because it's part of you too. All right, you're a paradox as well. You're this nuanced individual as well, and as complex as you might feel, you're also very simple. All right. And this is just, my interpretation. You don't have to take it on unless you want to. One of the things that I've heard that I really strongly agree with, and this is going for my situation as well, um, is that if we do begin to feel jealousy for what someone else is expressing or what they have, what does that jealousy mean? All right. And there's a way to interpret that in a way where it is empowering for us rather than disempowering. And when we do the work, it becomes easier. All right. When we do the internal work and take responsibility for our own personal relationship with God, then this begins to repair, basically, remove sin. All right. Forgive sin. It repairs what the damaged structures that we have built in its place, because that is what sin is, if you ask me. If we're going back to my great 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 grandfather's example, there was that opportunity to be thankful for his community. There was this opportunity to be thankful toward God, but what he felt instead in that moment, what he chose to put his attention on in that moment, and then by continuing to put his attention on that, was shame. And so that shame ends up shaping a huge portion of his life as he focuses on it. And for some people, because there was a great emotional charge behind that. Um, and the greater emotional charge, the greater it means to us, the more it's going to shape our lives. And so this is something that we all go through. And so this is also what I mean by this too. And it's hot, man. It's hot. Um, and so I just got to take off my hat here. Um, Maybe I'll do that later. But I'm trying to stay on subject here, you guys. People might say I'm a little ADD, little neurodivergent in certain ways, and that's up to. Hey, aren't we all? Aren't we all, you guys? Um, we're all unique. We're all unique individuals. Yes, we do have personal, individual patterns, maybe sins even, that can be addressed. But from what I've experienced and what I tend to see too, a lot, if not most, of these sins that we have are inherited. They were inherited from our parents and their parents and their parents. And so this is what I mean when I say generational curses, is there's this aspect that we are here to heal. And that in healing this, we are not only making ourselves as individuals a better place. As I do the work, the internal work for myself as an individual, I am healing my bloodline. All right, I'm healing my particular family's line. I'm healing my ancestors. I'm releasing my ancestors from this burden that they've been carrying all of this time. And ripple effect, right? I'm helping the community around me. I'm helping the world around me. I'm lessening the burden that the whole world has to carry just by doing my own work, just by doing my work as an individual. And this is my stance in so many different ways, and I'll say a bunch of different things. Like, I like to come from different angles and show things, because it's important. All right. And a lot of what I like to say are things that I feel like, at least from what I've witnessed, are kind of underutilized, or underthought about, or just like the Minority Report, if you will, for you know the collective. All right, for the greater world. Um, which is okay, and I've gotten to peace with that. A large part of me was ready to just, be a hermit for the rest of my life, and it is what it is. Also, there's several different formats to that, though. I do want to find a tribe, man. I do want to find a chosen ohana that is mine, right? A tribe of belonging. Definitely, a romantic partner that we are reciprocal. We see each other. We love each other. We're carefree. We trust each other. We trust ourselves. That's a big part of it too. Um, and all we can do is the work, you guys, and all we can do is trust God in this way. And so as I like to say in my channels, I know we're already getting up on 20 minutes here, right? To kind of tie this back in to what I love to. Okay, wait. There's going back to the person that I'd been watching on the YouTube channel before, and going back to this as being a school. We're learning how our personal relationship with God creates our existence for us. And so one of the formats here, it's just like there's not necessarily this gigantic evil agenda. It might seem like that sometimes. But what I would phrase it as is that there's individuals who have a personal relationship with God, and then our personal relationship with God creates the life that we have. So another way of saying it is that, I have a life that I want to live, and in pursuing that life, things start to collapse and format into a particular way because God loves us all. All right, we're all children of God. And so what if there's particular individuals who have the dream of basically being a king? All right, we'll just say it like that. They want to be a king and lord over other people. They're going to have that collapse into their reality. All right, and depending on how much in alignment they are with that and how much they understand where they're at in their own personal relationship with God. And so what I see and what I've experienced myself, very much firsthand, is that we have been drawn into the dreams, right, into these creations of other people, and that it doesn't have to be that way. All right, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, in order for someone to have billions and billions of dollars and to own half of the world or more of the world, or any kind of, it doesn't matter, but just like an insane percentage, to have 13 yachts, in order for someone to have that kind of a lifestyle, they also require other people to fall into line with that, to give them their portion of their lifestyle, of their God-given energy. And in order to do that, there's that personal relationship that they need to influence and shape. And so it seems like a really nefarious type of a setup, you guys. And I felt like that most of my life, like, if I'm going to be 100% honest. But in seeing it through the lens of fear, um, it's limiting our own relationship with God, or it's limiting it to a lens of fear. All right, it's limiting it in a way which actually keeps us entrenched in this other individual's dream of being a lord over everything. If we're going to make examples here, the metaphorical devil, Satan, is a person, right? The Antichrist, right? If you want to say it, is a person who would rather, right, would rather rule over hell than serve in heaven. And to me, what this means is that they would rather attempt to control other people's minds, other people's dreams, other people's relationships with God, over developing and working on their own personal relationship with God. Because in doing so, it's just like, the more that I have worked, like, this is why I'm able to be alone too, like being a hermit and everything. The more that I'm able to have a personal relationship with God, I don't necessarily care what other people think about me. I don't care what they even project on me, and that's maybe what is it called? A subject for another video, projection, because that's a huge thing, you guys. Especially for sensitive individuals, I guess, people who are sensitive to other people's energy. I would say we're all sensitive to some degree, and all I can do is speak about myself. Okay, when it comes to those kind of personal experiences. But yeah, yeah, you guys. Whew. So I know it's kind of sputting out there. If I can just get back to this too, there's only one absolute. There it is. To me, this is the name of God. All right, the one absolute. This recognition for me gives me peace, helps me understand, and I feel like it helps me convey certain things. Um, one of the one of the things that I love too is just like one of the YouTube people that I was listening to. He said very contradictory things within his same video, like I might seem to, and without the understanding of the one absolute, it's it's more fragmented, I guess is the best way to say it. When there's that understanding there, it feels more cohesive. It makes more sense. Because he was saying just like you don't need to go out and do things, all right? It's about stillness, right? It's about being still and letting things come to you. And then later on in the video, he says, and you gotta make movement, gotta take action, gotta do those things, right? And so, okay, which one is it, right? If you take either one of those statements absolutely, um, we're in air. All right, I'm in air. One is in air. An individual working toward this, a collective. It doesn't matter. But if that's that mindset where we take on any absolute other than the one absolute, we are putting ourselves in a position that is self-destructive, if you ask me, um, and is going to create tension, stress, disease, all of those things. Like and there's this is why I think in the Bible there's so much about putting this to God, giving this to God, making God everything, is because God is the one absolute. All right. And this, like, by me saying this, right, that God is the one absolute, all right, this also means that God is not an entity, but is also an entity. It is the laws of the universe, and it is beyond the laws of the universe. It is something which I can have a relationship and know, but I will never completely know. All right, like and being okay with that, understand, for me at least, right? Having this understanding has brought me so much peace. Has brought me so much peace. Like peace has been such a big thing in my life. Stress has been a huge thing. Like I don't I don't know how I necessarily look in these videos all the time, but especially being younger, I was stressed out all the time, you guys. Especially growing up, the more that I grew up and everything, it was I was just stressed out a lot. And I see that other people are like super stressed out too. And so much of it is things that we don't have to hold on to, things that we can let go of. And a lot of it's a misunderstanding too, because it's not like right, the one absolute. People are holding on to these things out of survival. And what they're holding on to at the most like primal level is valid, but the manner that they're holding on to it is making it go further away, if that makes sense. It makes it less accessible. And so there's many different ways to say this. I'm going to always do my best to convey my experiences of God, my understanding, to this channel, to all of us. And I love other people sharing that as well. I this is the community, the collective that I wish to be a part of, that I wish to participate in. Uh, I'm kind of done. All right, I'm just done. Stick a fork in me, done. Where being part of a collective or an environment which is judgmental, in so much as condemnatory, in so much as they're just at a different level than me, I guess is the best way to say it. And for me, like, that energy is really controlling, but externally controlling. It is, yeah, condemnatory. It's shaming. It attempts to shame the source that is making it upset. And the way that I see that from my perspective, right? We're 2929. I'll just quickly share this. Where going back to projection too. Sometimes I would almost say every time, but a large part of the time, when we're saying things, when we're talking about things, it's really meant for us, like as individuals, I mean. And so this is why I like to watch my videos and see, hey, what am I telling myself? Because and why I phrase it the way that I do, which is like I'm not telling anybody how they are. All right, I'm sharing my experience. All right, hopefully it enriches the people. Hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully people want to watch something like that, and it's confirming of your own journey. And also confirming where if anyone ever wants to put me on a pedestal or for whatever reason, I say don't. Um, but I'd say that for anything. All right. Like even if I was like I used it, I think, in a previous video, but just like if I'm a master blacksmith, I've totally mastered the craft. There's still more stuff I can master. There's never an end to any kind of skill. But let's just say I happen to be in this locality, the the most versed blacksmith that there is in this particular locality, right? Um, and then another blacksmith comes in who's actually even more versed than me. All right, to me, I'm like, this is cool. This is awesome. This is awesome. I can learn from this individual. All right, and so much of that experience, and this is what I was talking about before with jealousy. All right, is that I don't really feel jealous anymore, you guys, for the most part. And if there's a twinge of that there, it's almost immediately converted into recognition and awe of God. All right. Where there's this individual who has worked on their craft to such a degree that it is just like, wow. And what it's showing me, like, this is what, okay, I don't know if I said it before, but this is what jealousy really means. All right. This is what it truly means from my perspective, right? But it works, you guys. It seriously works. Jealousy is God's way of telling us that we can have exactly what they have. It's just about us creating it for ourselves. All right. It's not about stealing it. Like attempting to steal something from someone else is an invalidation and a misinterpretation of things, especially when it's in the physical format. Excuse me. And that there's ways to go about it too. And then, like I said, it's so layered. Oh my God, it's so layered. A lot of the times when we think that we're jealous about like an item that somebody has, we don't even care about the item itself. All right, it's the meaning behind it. All right, it's not even like the item is going to bring us anything different, because sometimes it is the item. All right, sometimes it is the place or the physical structure, like a home. you know like I'm not going to lie, you guys, like sometimes I have felt a little jealous, about people having homes and how they take advantage of, like just not take advantage of it, take it for granted. Um, at the same time, because I've seen both sides of the equation too. I've also seen how afraid they are of losing it, how beholden they are to something like that, and then that also robs them the joy, the experience of having a house. And I think that's a large portion of why I ended up becoming homeless, was because, man, I really have enjoyed the portions in my life where I've had housing have been amazing. All right, I loved it, but I also had this nagging feeling in the back of my mind, within my heart, basically saying, the programming of this world, like of the dream and everything. And I know, oh my God, you guys, I'm just jumping around today. I'm just jumping around today. This is why I tend to, what is it called? Label, and it's not label. It's the, I want to call them hash browns. Hashtag. There we go. I hashtag a lot of my videos, or basically all of them, as uh, vlogs. Video diaries, like me just getting up here and talking. And like I said, hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully it's confirming, validating for other people. Maybe there's views that resonate with people. Like that's the direction that I'm going in, for sure, for sure. And I do have this gift. I don't know what it is. We could talk about psychic gifts and everything. Maybe I don't know. Um, I think a lot of what people would consider psychic gifts for me are just natural tendencies, abilities as human beings. But it's just something that we need to continue to develop a relationship with God, with a conscious relationship with God, not just a automatic one, not just an unconscious one. This is why I love Christianity and I hate it, is because the what I would call the idol Christianity, the idol worshiping Christianity, because there is a version of Christianity that just worships an idol, where the Jesus that they talk about is not the real Jesus. All right, it's a false idol that they have called Jesus. They use the name of Jesus. All right, I know this is kind of going off here. We're already kind of long in the tooth for the video, but that's a big portion of it, where many Christians I've encountered have difficulty understanding this, and to me, it's just like they are idol worshippers. All right, they worship the devil, and they don't know it. They think that they're worshiping the true God, but they are in such a delusional state that it's something that they're not capable of perceiving. And so, as an individual, what do I do? Right? Like I don't hate them. They're in pain. Like I see it through their lives. I see it in their eyes, and they're attacking me. They're attacking my way of seeing things. They're attacking my being, essentially. And so, what am I supposed to do with that as an individual? I have developed, defense mechanisms, maybe, but a large part of that is not being defensive. All right, and it's kind of just letting people be where they are, and being okay with myself. Like, just like, okay, I see you attacking me. I see you saying these things, and right now you're the one who's unhinged. All right, you're the one who seems really emotionally upset. And from my perspective, what it seems like is you're projecting your own insecurities and things you don't want to look at, your shadow self, onto me. And so, as an individual, guess what? I can say I don't take it on. I'll do my best to be supportive of you. But if you're, hell bent on going in that direction and everything, you probably don't want to be around me. Like, is what I would say to them. And sometimes this is subtle. All right, like it's not always verbal. Most of the time, it's not. And it's one of those things too, where if they really truly believe, the Bible is literal, that you just have to come in the name of Jesus, you don't have to do anything else. Okay. Um, you probably want to give up on me, I guess is the best way to say it. You don't want to be around me. All right, you don't want to try to convince me of anything. Okay, because you can't. Like you just can't. The caveat to that is, if I have insecurity still, if there's previous programmings, stuff in from my generational curses that I have yet to continue, that I am continuing to process, I might be vulnerable to some manipulation sometimes. And in that case, hey, thank you for bringing it to my attention. Guess whose responsibility it is to forgive that, to bring that to God, and to make a new covenant, a new agreement? Me as an individual. So hey, thank you for doing that. And in the process of helping me to free myself, you will see me rise. You will see me have this greater peace. You will see me have this greater wealth, this greater power within my own life, and see that as an invitation for you to do the same. In that case, all right, not you as the viewer per se. I don't know if any jealous viewers are going to be watching this per se. There's a few channels I like to watch. I'll mention more of the channels I watch in another video, but because man, I got to wrap this up here. Right, when I looked at it, it was 39:33. Yeah, there could be cross watchers. That's what they call them. People who basically hate watching, and it's a funny concept to me. It's just like, When I don't like a video or I don't like what someone's saying, I change the channel, man. I just change the channel to something which I like, which is inspiring me, bringing me closer to God. Yeah, sometimes I do listen to things which are a little bit challenging for me, but it's challenging in the way that I know that I need to be challenged. And then there's nuance to it too, because it's not about avoiding bad feelings, all right, but it is about taking responsibility for what we're putting out there, all right, and in doing so we actually feel better. And there is this piece that is omnipresent then from my experiences, all right, and I'm just sharing from my level, right, wherever that happens to be, higher or lower, doesn't fucking matter, but it's just like from my trade skill, from my particular view of things, from what I've worked on, we can have an emotional capacity where we can feel our emotions, good, bad, anything in between, and still have this peace that's just there, this gratitude which is there. And so even when I'm miserable, even when I'm beside myself or going through these negative emotions per se, or you know what I mean, there can still be this other layer to it, this gratitude, and that's when I know also it's healing. That's when I know that I'm going in the right direction. So we'll keep it at there. All right, we'll keep it at there. I'm doing my best to make these videos shorter, but dang, I just obviously I need to talk more. Because I love talking. All right, I love these videos. At the same time, it's scary, you guys. Putting myself out here, it's kind of scary. I'm going to be 100% honest and vulnerable with this, where a large part of me just wants to disconnect from the world, you know. Um, but then I get shown these things and I see these things, and maybe it's about me, but I just see that the potential for the world itself and other people to get better itself if we connect with each other, are authentic and vulnerable with ourselves first and then each other. um, it helps us collectively, all right, and I don't want to be the only one up here, being authentic, and I'm not, thank God. Loud jet, I don't know if you can hear it. And so I like to think, right, if you're going to take that as some kind of confirmation, the Calvary's here, you guys. Like, yeah, maybe it's partly me, maybe it's some of the other people I watch, maybe it's just time, you guys. Like, who wants this false paradigm to stay in, man? And this is what I also question as well, is that these individuals, or maybe this one individual, right, who has chosen power over other people's dreams, power over other individuals, over power over themselves. Maybe it's time to change, right? Maybe it's time to be free of that. All right. Because I know I like, it's like, seriously, and it's a process for me too. I've wanted to save the world, right? That's as I said in my previous video, I'm more of the enabling type, the nurturing type, and so want to save people from pain, save people from their circumstances, and so guess what I've been learning? Detachment from other people's creations. All right, and if it seems like I'm cocky or arrogant sometimes in that direction, it's because I need to be. All right. If people like think of it like this, all right. If someone's drinking poison in front of me and just looking me in the eyes because they want to hurt me, they want to hurt me so bad by drinking that poison. In the past, I would feel so bad for them. Like, I would feel truly bad for them because I would feel what it's like to drink that poison, because I know what it's like to drink that poison. And I'm in a place in my life right now where I feel neutral about it. All right. Because on one level, I want to say, don't drink that poison. You don't have to drink that poison. Okay. Like, look at me in the eyes and drinking that poison and wishing, like, this is what black magic is. All right. If I'm telling you guys the truth, this is what black magic truly is. It's drinking a poison oneself and then hoping the other person is going to feel bad about what you're doing to yourself, is essentially what black magic is. Okay, so this is why I say don't do black magic, and this is the traditional terms for black magic. All right, we can get into the nuances of the dark and the light, and how I particularly see, the light and the dark is, more feminine and masculine. Okay, I'm not talking about it in that context. All right, what I mean here is black is in just like the negative side. All right, just like the self-destructive side that doesn't have to be. All right, and so yeah, if people are doing black magic against me, I'm gonna do one of a few things. Right, on one end, I'm gonna be like, you don't have to drink that. All right, I think you should stop because you're gonna hurt yourself, and I'll explain it if you have the ears to hear it. If you don't have the ears to hear it, I almost just want to be like, hey, go at it, man. Drink as much as you need to. All right, because you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt yourself so bad, and it's not gonna get better until you stop drinking it. All right, because going in that direction, it's only gonna lead to more drinking of a poison, more feeling bad. All right, and you don't have to. All right, I don't have to. None of us have to. All right, like if I could do anything here, my statement here is that we can forgive the roles that we played in the past. All right, none of us have to be the enabler anymore, the eternal giver. All right, none of us have to be the eternal challenger, the one who's always upsetting things. All right, uh, from my perspective, we're all that. All right, sometimes we're going to challenge the status quo. Sometimes we're going to be the nurturer. Sometimes we're going to be something completely different. And I think that that's all okay. It's all within God, you guys. And that's what that conscious relationship's about, in my opinion. Okay, so we're done. 4707. We're done. 50 minutes almost, right? Dang. Dang, you guys. Um, all right. Confirmation. We're done here. All right. I'll just end it. I was going to talk more, but yeah. So thanks for being here, you guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble for almost an hour. Maybe watching, maybe in the background, who knows, right? If you got time for it. Glad I made this video. I'll continue to try and do my best to refine them. I'm going to do more shorts. I'm going to try to do more shorts. I think those are more palpable, and it keeps me a little more accountable. I just got to find times to do it because, man, where I'm living right now, it is windy usually. Like, if hopefully there hasn't been too much wind in the volume for the phone this time. I have the umbrella behind it, which is because the wind's been coming from this direction. But yeah. Anyway, that's just technical stuff. All right. Um, it's getting better, you guys. All of it's getting better. Thanks for being on this journey with me. Um, thanks for being part of my life. As I'm part of yours. So yeah. And if there are cross watchers, who are watching my videos in that way, yeah, like, you do what you got to do, you guys. Like, drink that poison, but you don't have to. All right. And yeah, you just don't have to. Okay. I'm trying to be nice about this. All right. You don't have to do that. There's better ways, and I'm doing my best to communicate that. And if you want to make me an enemy of you, you are not my enemy. All right. Um, I'm still not going to give you my energy. All right. Like, in that way, like, I'm not going to feel bad for you. Okay. You're choosing what you're choosing. All right. You got to go the path that you got to go until you don't, until you choose differently. Just like me. All right. Like, I'm choosing now. Right. That's what I mean by the flip side. All right. The flip side's nice. All right. Because the way that I see it, we've all been upside down. Time to flip. The flip side is right side back up. So yeah, we'll leave it there for real. For real, we're leaving it there. Um, so yeah, guys, love you. Love you. Love oneself. Love God. All right. So peace out. Love within. Right. Catch you on the flip side.